Hi, dreamers. I have a confession to make. Are you ready? You sure? Okay, here we go. I have not worked one day in 2022. Not one day, not 1 hour. Let that sink in for a second. First of all, can you believe? Second of all, I feel so well rested. So I'm here to tell you the story, what I've been doing, what I've learned from my 2022 experiment that is key for anyone who wants to retire early, and what I plan to do next. So here's the story. At the beginning of the year, I had 2 work contracts wrap up at the same time. That never happens. There's always a new one starting and/or an old one lingering on. So, for the first time since day 1 of working at age 16, I had a clear runway with nothing on deck. So I kind of looked at that and thought, Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been burning the candle at both ends for decades now with no breaks. I've worked nights, weekends, holidays, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you that the last couple of years have been eye-opening in terms of life and just reassessing what's important. So I said to myself, why not take a few months off and just see how far I could coast? I could try out my retirement lifestyle and see how I like it. I could find out the pitfalls of the lifestyle and the strategy, and maybe even learn how close I am to actually doing it. So I started with my budget. So I think this is the first time I'm showing you my personal budget. And this is what it looks like. I have a monthly mortgage of $1,867, average credit card bill of $2,500 a month, property taxes for 2 homes that work out to be about $1,416 a month, $92 for car insurance, $175 for insurance on 2 houses, a phone and internet bill of $140 a month, gas for the house of $100, $75 for water and $75 for trash, about $100 a month for power on average, and $800 a month food and grocery bill, a couple $100 for other expenses like yard cleaning, those types of things, and a very low health budget. The reason for the low health budget is that my spouse covers our healthcare costs. So in total, my monthly average expenses are about $7,500 a month, bringing me to around $90,780 a year in expenses. Now, why do I have some things in red? It's because in my mind, those are the things that if I really wanted to, I could take down through either selling a house, tightening my belt with expenses, renegotiating contracts, or simply shopping in other places. So as I thought about this budget, I realized that I had about $50,000 in cash in January, and I wondered if I could get aggressive with my expenses. So I came up with an aggressive experiment. Could I cover my monthly mortgage and try to keep my total credit card and other bills to $2,215, excluding the once-a-year expenses of property taxes and insurance? If I could do those things, I could use that $50,000 to take me all the way through to the end of the year, and then reassess where my investments are and my dividends. Now, I knew that if I included the cost of the taxes and insurance, that all-in cost brought me to around $69,180. And I was willing to think about possibly selling stock if I needed to for those one-time costs. But really, I wanted to see if I could keep to this budget of $48,984. Could I actually do that? Because if I could, then perhaps I could think about retiring before I reach that $100,000 a year in dividend income. This was my experiment. So I started with about $50,000 in January, and I was feeling good. But right away, an opportunity came my way to join a very exclusive group that only accepts 10 people a year. Now, I'd been waiting to join for a while, and this was a one-time offered deal, but it was a few $1,000s to opt in. Without hesitation, I was like, I can't mess this up. I've been working towards this my whole career. I have $50,000. That's plenty. This is key to my professional development and networking. So I joined. Then, a few days later, some close friends wanted us to commit to a vacation next year. It's a great little spot that we've gone to before, but not cheap, and it was a few thousand for the deposit. Now, what was I gonna say? I'm doing a silly little experiment? And no, we won't live life, be with our best friends, or commit to anything in the future? I mean, in real retirement, I'd want to say yes to these types of things, right? So that was a few $1,000s. Then, immediately after that, disaster started to happen. My dog got really sick. I took her to the ER multiple times. I had to get tons of medication. I took her to a specialist. There were sleepless nights for weeks, and it was very stressful. Thank goodness she has fully recovered from something that still no vet could diagnose. But the result was thousands and thousands of dollars that disappeared instantly. Then, you're not going to believe this. I noticed a leak in a 10-year-old roof. Ugh, and it had to be fixed ASAP. That was terrible. And immediately after that, a pipe burst inside a wall, and there was repair that didn't meet the insurance minimum. Now, keep in mind, my house is pretty new, and I haven't had any repairs since moving in. So both of these things were very unexpected. So I found myself in April saying, am I going to run out of money in 4 months? This was a huge fail. So my first big learning here is Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will. So now I'm fully expecting that when I retire, immediately the plan will go off the rails. And I need to expect that and be prepared for it. I definitely will need enough of a cushion to help me soft land into retirement. I was also shocked that I couldn't stick to the aggressive experiment budget. Holy cow! I still wanted to travel freely and buy expensive experiences. So the learning here is you either have to be realistic with your budget or be prepared to radically change your behavior. So I got down to about $10,000 and I started thinking, okay, guess what? It might be time to test out these dividends that I've never used before. Again, let that sink in. I'm in my 40s, I've been investing for decades, and I've had a dividend plan for a long time, but I've never actually tried using the dividends for everyday income. So I was like, here we go. Let's see how this works. Let's put all of my theories into practice. So, as you know, I was trying to cover that $48,984. And although I started with $50 in January, I was left with $10,000 in April. But by April, I actually had started to get my expenses under control, and my total credit card bills were about $1,850, which was well within the $2,200 I had budgeted. So if I could keep this going, it could work. Taking a look at my dividend income, right now in taxable accounts, I'm making $23,664 from my taxable TD Ameritrade account, and from my taxable Fidelity account, I'm making $20,929 in dividend income, for a total dividend income of $44,593. Now, in addition to this, I do have one additional income stream that brings in about $4,800. So my total passive non-retirement account income comes to $49,393. And guess what? It worked. Without any types of emergencies, I could get my expenses within the range with little effort and still go out to eat whenever and not feel deprived. I started using only the taxable account income to live off of, knowing there's no penalty for using this money and no taxes if I earn less than $83,350 for 2022. And I still reinvested all dividends on the other half of my investments, since my investments are split about 50-50 in taxable and non-taxable accounts. So I learned a couple of things. Dividends are amazing. The utility of being able to use this money as a legit side hustle without selling the stock is incredible. Here we are in a down market, and I don't have to sell. I just continue to take the dividends as planned. That is the strategy in action, guys. That's exactly what you want to have happen in retirement if and when a down market occurs. It's a surefire way to keep going no matter what the market does. However, although this has worked for the last 3 months, I worry about what happens when I need to pay the one-time taxes or insurance costs at the end of the year, and what happens if more big emergencies hit all at once. I learned the numbers still don't add up. So that's what led me to do research on doing a SEP, SEPP, to avoid the 10% penalty out of my retirement account, which you can see details about in my video retirement plan cheat. With that addition, here's what that could look like. Adding to the $49,393 a year from my non-retirement passive income, the SEPP potential could be around $30,000. And I still need to check with that accountant to understand the exact IRS amount that would be required. But let's say it's around that amount, I would have a total passive income of $79,393 that I could start using right now. And that actually would be enough to cover that $69,180 expense. So this works, but barely. The downside of this is that I stopped growing my investments at such a rapid rate, and I may never get to that $100,000 a year goal, or at least it will take forever through the dividend raises. And there's still no wiggle room for luxurious extras or a pile of emergencies all at once. I found myself wanting to do things around the house, but putting it off, wanting to take family and friends out for dinner, my treat, but instead, everyone paid their own way. I began thinking about the timing of my credit card billing, which I haven't done in years, and none of that felt great. Overall, I also learned that the act of switching from accumulation to decumulation is a really weird feeling. I feel like I'm cheating on someone, not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, wrongly taking the money. I realized that I hate taking the money to live on and not reinvesting it. And frankly, that's just something I'm going to have to get over, because I don't want to die with $10 million in the bank, having never spent a cent. That is not the goal, and that was an aha moment. On a personal side, some retired people say they get bored, and some say no way. How did I feel? I actually did start to get antsy. I did start to feel less stimulated. I did start to feel more isolated because all of my friends are working. It's also hard to just go off a cliff of working nights and weekends for years to nothing at all. So here I learned that I do need something to occupy my intellectual side, even if it's just 2 to 3 days a week. But I loved the flexibility of waking up whenever, deciding what to do with my day, and sometimes deciding to do nothing at all, if that's my decision. And that was awesome. And getting in the car or on a plane to go somewhere without any work interruption, those are the things that I know I'll love. So, what will I do now? Well, I'm going to take on another work project, but try to work a little less, ask for more flexibility, and get as much of the best of both worlds as I can. during this last decade or so of work. In sum, with this trial mini retirement, I am looking forward to using this dividend strategy as expected, and possibly moving into a hybrid model of working some and using some of the taxable dividends earlier than expected. So that's my big confession. I hope you learned some things from my mini retirement. Thanks for spending time with me today. And as always, I encourage you to do your research, implement, and learn by putting it into practice. As a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, so keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. I'll see you on the flip side.